You've been at Tottenham, and the accusation is repeatedly and endlessly that Daniel Levy is front and centre on player acquisition. And I always make the case, not because he's my friend, that that's ridiculous, that really he's at the back end when it comes to the money. Can you speak to that in terms of your experiences at Tottenham?
Yeah, Daniel did like to play sort of a hands-on role in that.
What do you mean hands-on, David?
I would say that when it came to that final phase, he liked to know what was going on.
Yeah,
he would like to have a say. He would like it to be at a certain price point.
But as far as player selection based upon talent,
yeah, he had an opinion, and I think sometimes that could cause a conflict of interest.
Interesting.
But when I was there with Poch, I think Poch, especially in probably the second year, because he'd done pretty well, had more of an overall say. So it became down to his decision. Who
had the last word?
Poch.
So there we go.
Which is kind of half my point.
Yeah.
Dan's a little bit more involved than I anticipated the answer to be, but notwithstanding that, the head coach has the final say.
At any time did an owner like Levy or the chairman like Levy say, no, do you know what, not him?
Yeah. I think there was cases when we was at Tottenham, we had players in the building that maybe we should have potentially signed and would have helped Poch at that time. That we didn't go through various aspects. Sometimes I wasn't always privy to the finer details of that, but there were questions being raised that I think sometimes that if we'd have acquired that player at that certain time, it could have steered Tottenham in a different direction at that time.
You see, that disproves what your belief is.
Yeah, it does. I would suggest that decision, and again, it sounds like I'm putting words into a space where Daniel Levy can defend himself, and it's not my job to do so. That would more often than not be a monetary-based decision. When you say players in the building, you mean players that were already at the football club that needed to be signed on better contracts, or are you talking about players that were being brought in to sign and then subsequently fell out because some way or another they couldn't find an accord?
More players to sign.
Right.
And for various reasons, they didn't get over the line.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And your position in that, David, is you've got to go with the flow, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You've done your part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very frustrating because I think during these aspects you always look at there's a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes, and if you do your job properly as a recruiter, and I was at Tottenham, my role was sort of head of elite, so it was 17 through to the first team, so because of the way Poch liked to play, that became sort of a big area for recruitment. So I think once you've done all your due diligence, all your work, all your data, all your processes, meet with the agents and package it up and presented it, and then obviously it goes over to Rebecca, she was head of football at the time, and then to Daniel, and then Poch is involved in those conversations as well, then it becomes sort of down to them to execute it over the line.